The revelation of the revelation. The four Gospels explained by their writers by Jean-Baptiste Roustaing, 1881. Source: www.tinyurl.com/the four Gospels. The Magi. Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12.
Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judaea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, Magi came from eastern countries to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to do homage to him. When Herod the king had heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And he assembled all the chief priests and scribes of the people, and demanded of them where the Christ should be born. They said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judaea, for it is written thus through the prophet, And thou Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not at all the least among the leaders of Judah, for a leader shall come forth from thee, who shall tend my people Israel. Then Herod called the wise men secretly, and inquired of them the exact time of the appearance of the star. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I also may go and do homage to him. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they had seen in the east, went before them, till it came and stood above where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they went into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and they fell down, and did homage to him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they went back into their own country by another way.
Section 43. The Magi did not visit the stable at Bethlehem, nor did they do homage to the child when he was laid in the manger. Their visit did not take place before the circumcision and purification, but some time afterwards, as you may perceive by the command to destroy the children up to 2 years of age, for Herod issued this mandate in accordance with the time that he had carefully inquired of the Magi. Mary was to remain at Bethlehem till the Magi had visited and done homage to the child. All these events were prearranged, and were accomplished by spiritual influence and agency. You call such meetings and coincidences accidental, because you do not know their causes, but they frequently take place among you in a similar manner. Joseph and Mary often visited Matthias, Joseph's brother, at Bethlehem. Their guardian spirits inspired them with the idea of going there when it was necessary for the Magi to find them, and the Magi came to the house of Matthias to do homage to the child Jesus, and to offer him their gifts. But how were the Magi led to come from the east to Jerusalem, to ask where he who was born King of the Jews was to be found, and how did they know that the star which they had seen related to his birth? How were they led to follow the star to do homage to him, and what was this star? The Magi received a revelation from their guardian spirits in a dream that a messenger of the great being had descended on earth to be King of the Jews, and to redeem the human race. They were also informed that they would be led to the child by his star, which they would see in the sky, and that, if they followed the star, it would conduct them to the divine messenger. Everyone receives a revelation in such terms as are most suitable to him. The Magi thought that every human existence was governed by a planet, and consequently supposed that this star was a planet created to control the destiny of Jesus, and expressly sent to announce the event, and to guide them, whereas they believed that other men were born and died under the influence of already existing planets, each of which might rule the destinies of thousands of individuals. You know that the ancients believed that everyone was born under a good or evil star, for this notion has lasted a long time. The learned men of the period based this idea upon the belief that the planet under whose influence a man was born, radiated fluids which were either favorable to genius, wealth, happiness, and prosperity, or the contrary, according as its influence was good or evil. If you open any old book on alchemy, necromancy, or astrology, you will see the important influence attributed, sometimes in perfect sincerity, to the planets, which move on their ascending path towards progress. Like everything else, for every created object is perfectible. Do not wonder that the Magi should have formed such an idea of the star which was to guide them, for they supposed it to be a planet guiding them intelligently to a special locality. Their confidence in the powerful will of the Lord predominated over their reason, and they supposed that the star obeyed a given order, as the servant obeys his master. But we do not say that this was really so, and we will now explain the nature of the light which they supposed to be a star. Some skeptics, who proudly claim to know everything and yet are very ignorant, deny spiritual and mediumic phenomena, and maintain that this star was an astrological fable. Those who only understand mathematical results, and estimate everything by what they can weigh and measure, must speak thus. The light which appeared to the Magi like a star had nothing in common with the stars which are scattered through space. Cannot a guardian angel appear to man under any luminous form which he deems fitting? Is the dim eye of matter even able to distinguish the light flowing from a fluidic source from the light surrounding the worlds which revolve in space? Spiritists should understand how the perispirit of a superior spirit might be made luminous to human eyes by the concentration and modification of fluids, under the form of a star. It was not a star which the Magi beheld, for everything in space obeys the laws of universal harmony. A star is a world, and could not remove from its fixed center of gravity to travel in space like a torch in the hand of a guide. You know that every effect manifesting intelligence must proceed from an intelligent cause. The Magi were guided by a superior spirit, who was appointed to lead them to pay homage to the Savior of mankind. He manifested himself by a luminous fluidic appearance like a star, as the Magi called it. The star shone in their eyes, but their eyes were of flesh. Do you not allow for optical effects? Do you see the worlds that surround you as they really are, at the distance at which they are placed? Would not the distance and the shining light of the form and size of a star moving through the surrounding air, be sufficient to deceive the eyes of men who, though learned as regards their own age, were yet very far from your present knowledge, and possessed none of these instruments which have now reached such great perfection, and will yet be vastly improved? Some skeptics have jestingly remarked that the Magi could only travel at night, because the stars do not shine in broad daylight. Not so, the Magi traveled by day, for they rested at night like you, and passed the necessary time in sleep. Do not those learned men who have invented and who use telescopes by day, know that, under certain optical conditions, it is just as easy to see the stars in the sunlight as at night? We ask these objectors whether it would not be easy to modify the sight of the Magi so that they could perceive a pale luminosity notwithstanding the brightness of day. Do not equally extraordinary phenomena, which you admit without well understanding them, cause human eyes to fulfill the functions of the microscope? But let us return to the main point. The star which led the Magi was not one of those which stud the firmament, but a concentration of luminous fluids, under the form of a twinkling star, and changing its luster so that the Magi, who were seeing mediums, could distinguish the light. An optical effect caused this traveling light to appear to twinkle like the stars on a clear night. We come to help you to explain what is called a mystery in human language, but only to help to explain what you are really incapable of understanding. Use your science and reason to discover what they can. The Magi were first led to Jerusalem that they might follow the course which the Lord had appointed. Herod was to be informed of the birth of the King of the Jews, that he might call an assembly of the chief priests and scribes of the people, who consulted the prophets, and fixed Bethlehem of Judah as the exact place where the child whom the Magi sought should be born, the Christ, who was foretold as the leader of the people of Israel. Nothing takes place without a reason. The birth of the child Jesus in a humble station was to be remembered to prepare for his appearance among men, and this was effected by the events consequent upon the journey of the Magi to Jerusalem, and their visit to Bethlehem. We will now explain what we meant by saying that the Magi were more anxious to verify a doubtful event than confident in the word of the angel. The Magi believed in the existence and manifestation of spirits, and communicated with them by mediumic methods, like yourselves. But the teachings they received were proportioned to the development of their intelligence, and to the needs of the age. Mediumnity existed among them as among you, and so much was revealed to each as his organization or his degree of advancement, study, and experience fitted him to receive. They were acquainted with magnetism, and somnambulism, with the disengagement of the soul in the somnambulic state, and during sleep, and with its power of communicating with spirits in this free state, either under magnetic influence, or in a dream during sleep. When they remembered the dream on awaking, they were in doubt whether it was a vision, or spiritual revelation of events which were foretold to them, as about to be accomplished, or only a dream, or lying vision. This doubt was not dispelled till they saw the star beginning to move before them, when they followed it to Jerusalem, where it stopped. They still doubted, when the chief priests and scribes asserted that Bethlehem was the place where this celestial messenger of the great being, who was to tend the people of Israel, and was born King of the Jews, should be sought for. After receiving Herod's orders, they felt great joy when they saw the star appear, and begin to move before them again. But their faith was not fully established until the star stopped above the house, and having found the child with Mary, they prostrated themselves before him, and did homage to him as the messenger of the great being, who had descended upon earth to regenerate the human race, after which they opened their treasures, and offered him gifts, gold, frankincense and myrrh. Section 44. What are the bodies called shooting stars? This is beyond the limits of the work which we have caused you to undertake. Shooting stars are not worlds with a fixed center of gravity, but condensed and incandescent fluids, seeking the center of attraction, where they must unite to complete their combination, and form a planet. Our previous remarks related to organized worlds, occupying their own center of gravity. Again, our words are not inconsistent with the displacement of each planet, as we shall explain afterwards in speaking of the ascending course of your own towards perfection, during its progressive wanderings, because ages may effect, in accordance with natural law, what could not take place during the limited period of a human journey without disturbance. Thirdly, the shooting stars, or masses of incandescent fluids, move with the speed of thought in seeking their goal, while the star of the Magi moved before them with the slow and regular progress of men on a journey, and thus acted intelligently as their guide. The revelation of the revelation. The four Gospels explained by their writers by Jean-Baptiste Roustaing, 1881. Source: www.tinyurl.com/the4gospels.